Good evening and welcome to Ignite News on 6 at 6. It's Friday, April 11th, 2025. I'm Rihanna Nikram. Thanks for joining us. Here are the highlights. Region 3 will soon have its own large-capacity drainage canal, similar to that at Hope. 100 women to benefit from Shade House project. Guyana has the lowest student-teacher ratio in the region, according to Vice President Bart Jagdeo. And the government of Guyana will meet with exporters to discuss the potential effects of the U.S. tariffs. Significant cash injections from the state will keep the National Insurance Scheme sustainable, Vice President Dr. Bart Jagdeo said on Thursday. According to Dr. Jagdeo, these injections will make the scheme not only solvent, but also capable of increasing pension for its contributors. The NIS has been paying out more than it is receiving, raising concerns that the entity may face bankruptcy. Dr. Jagdeo explained that while the government is a contributor to the NIS, it is not the owner, as there are also private contributors to the scheme. However, he added that his administration will be providing increased financial support to the NIS to facilitate periodic pension increases. Meanwhile, President Dr. Irfaan Ali announced a one-off payment for contributors who did not meet the required number of contributions to qualify for a NIS pension. 100 women in Canal Number 1 and Baggotsville will collaborate with the government to develop thriving shade houses.
We want to identify 100 women in this Canal Baggotsville area, and we want to help you to put a shade house in your yard so you can produce, so that you can plant celery that goes to the market. We want to empower 100 families by empowering 100 women.
To complement this, President Irfaan Ali said that his government would allocate resources to develop micro-enterprises nationwide in the next budget.
In the next budget, we are going to set aside resources for micro-enterprises so that the people in Baggotsville or the people in Canal or the people lower down Canal will come together and say, we want to take all our plantain or all our pineapple and we want to put it in tin. We want to put it in tins, fresh, organic pineapple packaged to go to some other market. We want to support, that is what the next budget will focus on, creating micro-enterprises.
These projects are part of the government's new strategy for developing localized economies, which President Ali has dubbed Grassnomics, grassroots economics. Several other such projects are being undertaken across the country. More than 9,800 acres of farmland between Canal Number 1 and Canal Number 2 Polders, west bank of Demerara, will be serviced through the construction of a Hope-like canal. President Dr. Irfaan Ali spoke about the project today during a community engagement at Canal Number 1 Polder.
One of the signature projects that we have to do here for you in this polder is the Beeline Canal. Am I not right? The Beeline Canal is linked to your future, your sustainability. And guess what? Today, the expression of interest was open to have this project start long before the end of the year.
The canal is a critical piece of infrastructure for the two agricultural communities. It is designed as a new irrigation method to service the farmlands within the two villages. Unlike the current system, the new structure will store water during dry periods and in the rainy season will facilitate the continuous discharge of water on a 24-hour basis. The government of Guyana will meet with exporters to discuss the potential effects of the U.S. tariffs, particularly on the agricultural sector. This is according to Guyana's Vice President and General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, Dr. Bart Jagdeo. During his press conference yesterday, Dr. Jagdeo gave this assurance to the public. He also stated the government intends to engage with the U.S. during the current 90-day hold on the reciprocal taxes.
We are also meeting with the exporters who would be affected. A large amount of our exports are exempt, and particularly oil, from the reciprocal tariff and bauxite ore and gold exports. And these form the bulk of our exports. But there are some crucial sectors that could be badly affected, mainly the agricultural sector and their exports. So we are meeting with the exporters to understand the impact of any potential tariff.
Dr. Jagdeo explained that the government will work with the United States to examine all the facts surrounding the matter.
President Trump has announced that the reciprocal tax has been put on hold for 90 days so that every country in the world now would pay the 10% across the board tariff, but the reciprocal tariff is now on hold for 90 days. And that the United States of America is prepared to have discussions with countries about the reciprocal tax. And that 75 countries have already reached out to the United States of America to address the question of the reciprocal taxes or tariff. So we're one of those countries. Now, I said there is no room for panic, nor should we behave in a manner that is antagonistic to the United States of America. I pointed out that we expected higher tariff because President Trump campaigned on this. We just did not know what form it will take and what the rates will be. And we discovered that when they were announced. We discovered how they were calculated and what the rates were. So we still believe that it is through engagement with the United States of America that we can resolve this matter, and that will be our approach. We have all the facts ready to present in the engagement.
The Vice President dismissed advice from the opposition to engage in a holistic response plan to the issue. He also claimed that he has not seen a single serious suggestion from the party on how to address the matter.
But our trade surplus really came about because of the export of oil, which also is exported mainly by the companies, U.S. companies.
He concluded that there are two positive signals from the U.S. on the matter: the 90-day tariff hold and President Trump's willingness to engage with affected countries. Guyana and Canada have renewed a bilateral agreement which allows for the local procurement of Canadian goods and services. The agreement was signed between the Government of Guyana and the Canadian Commercial Corporation yesterday. According to a joint press release, the move will facilitate cooperation, participation in discussions, and the exchange of information related to the procurement of Canadian goods and services. The agreement was signed by Dr. Ashni Singh, Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance and the public service, and Boris Jakuti, Director of Business Development Infrastructure at the Canadian Commercial Corporation. It will remain in effect for 8 years. Dr. Singh noted that this represents a significant step forward in strengthening the economic and commercial ties between Guyana and Canada. He added that the government looks forward to Guyanese companies doing business with Canada, citing that Canadian investors and business and commercial institutions have been present in the Guyanese economy for decades. Additionally, Jakuti noted that the corporation is committed to supporting Guyana's development goals by providing access to Canadian expertise and high-quality products. According to Dr. Bart Jagdeo, Guyana's public schools have the lowest student-to-teacher ratio in the region. Though he did not share the ratio, he attributed it to government investment in human capital. During his weekly press conference yesterday, Dr. Jagdeo stated that the government has been making significant investments in education. He noted that the sector's budget has increased from $53 billion in 2020 to $175 billion in 2025.
We've increased the budget in the education sector from $53 billion when we got into office to $175 billion this year. From 53 to $175 billion. We have built 59 new nursery schools, 25 primary schools, 28 secondary schools. We have rehabilitated, major rehabilitation and construction of 125 others. We have increased the number of teachers from 12,000 to 15,000. When you take the number of children in public schools and you divide by the number of teachers, now the teacher to student ratio is one of the lowest in the world. One of the lowest in the world. Better than many developed countries of the world.
Jagdeo also pointed out that the government has not only trained more teachers for the public education sector, but they have also pushed for these teachers to further their studies by incentivizing higher education.
We have encouraged a lot of our teachers to be trained. We now train nearly 5,000 teachers through Cyril Potter College. In fact, it's more. It's about just over 2,000 at Cyril Potter College of Education. And through the Gold Scholarship Program, you have another maybe 4,000 or 5,000 teachers. So you're talking about 6,000, 7,000 of a complement of 15,000 teachers who have been exposed to either training at the Cyril Potter College or alternately have now qualified and are doing a Gold Online Scholarship that would make them eligible to receive a higher pay once concluded.
The Guyana government aims to have a world-class education system. The Ministry of Housing continues its Dream Realize Housing Drive today at the Arthur Chung Convention Center. Hundreds of persons received land titles or were allocated properties. Zena Henry was there and filed this report.
Scores of persons arrived here today at the Arthur Chung Convention Center for the Central Housing and Planning's Dream Realize Housing Drive. These persons would have been allocated lands or received title for these properties. We spoke to some of those recipients today.
The first time I didn't really take it up much, but the second call, because I know there's a lot of prank calls going on. So the first call I didn't take it serious, but the second one, yes, I did. So,
and you're happy you took that call?
Yes, I did.
Where you got your land this morning?
Well, it was souvenir.
What does this mean for your family?
Well, it's a great start, you know, for a father of two. Yes.
I feel great about it. So that was all I have to say, and thanks that I received it. I feel so much great.
I went to find out and we were like, yeah, I think my knees get weak, I couldn't even walk. So I'm very excited at the moment that I got through my land.
Okay, and what type of preparations have you been making or making right now as you move forward to develop your land and get your
Well, right now, waiting for when the area is properly developed, but right now I'm saving as much as I can. So like soon as they say give me the okay to start building, I can go right ahead. I want to make like one walk through and build without they're hesitating or they're waiting, like, oh, peace. Just want to do one through. So when I finish, we'll just move in.
We have a Dream Realize allocation exercise for Region 4. About 1,600 persons that we are allocating over the next 2 days. The persons have already been identified and notified. Because you will recognize, if you heard us in the opening remarks, is that the huge pending applicants that we have here for Region 4, we have to do a screening process. Unlike the commitment that we've made for the other regions, is that we're working to clear the backlog, and we're going to clear the backlog as of December 31st, 2024 in this 2025 year. And we want to do this by July to clear those backlogs.
I am Zena Henry, reporting for Ignite News.
For many, being able to finally own land is truly the realization of a dream. Thank you, Zena. The large fire which broke out at the Wall Jigsaw Mill at South Amelia's ward, Linden, has been contained. This is according to a statement from the Ministry of Home Affairs. In the statement, the ministry explains that firefighters continue to respond since the flames have not been extinguished. Residents and officials in the community made a call for national assistance on Wednesday after the fire, which broke out at the sawmill dump site, began threatening neighboring homes and other buildings. The ministry has since noted the rapid efforts by emergency teams successfully isolated the blaze. It indicated that trenches have been excavated around the affected area to prevent the fire from spreading further. At new time, the fire has been confined to a gully located behind the sawmill area. The Ministry of Home Affairs and the Guyana Fire Service has extended sincere gratitude and appreciation to all supporting agencies and urges the public to avoid the area while emergency operations continue. The origin of the fire remains under investigation. Easter came to the State House today as scores of children got the opportunity to make and fly kites with the president. They were also treated to food and drinks and interacted with animated characters, including the Easter Bunny. President Ali made sure to join in the fun and games with the children. Easter will be celebrated on Monday, April 20th, 2025. Internationally, China has announced it would raise tariffs on all United States goods to 125%, further deepening a trade war between the world's two largest economies. The U.S. imposition of abnormally high tariffs on China seriously violates international trade rules, basic economic laws, and common sense, Beijing's State Council Tariff Commission said in a statement announcing the retaliatory tariffs on Friday. Al Jazeera reported that the new levy will take effect on Saturday, the statement said. China and the U.S. have been engaged in a tit-for-tat tariff war, with U.S. President Donald Trump imposing more tariffs on Beijing earlier this week, even as he put a pause on tariffs for other nations after U.S. markets reacted negatively to the decision. Trump's universal tariffs on China now total 145%. When he announced on Wednesday that China faced 125% tariffs, he did not include a 20% tariff on China tied to its role in fentanyl production. Meanwhile, China's Ministry of Commerce has announced it was filing a new lawsuit with the World Trade Organization, challenging the U.S. tariffs, adding that the U.S. is to blame for the global economic turbulence unleashed by Trump. The ministry urged U.S. to take a big step forward in eliminating the so-called reciprocal tariffs and completely correct its wrongful practices. The BBC reports that Ukraine will receive an additional £450 million of military support. About £350 million will be provided by the UK, with extra funding from Norway via the UK-led International Fund for Ukraine. The package includes funding for hundreds of thousands of drones, anti-tank mines, and repairs to military vehicles. In January, the UK pledged £4.5 billion in military aid to Ukraine. The $450 million announced today is part of that $4.5 billion. And in sports, England's all-time leading Test wicket taker, James Anderson, will receive a knighthood for his services to cricket, the BBC has reported. Anderson, 42, retired last summer with 704 wickets, making him the most successful pace bowler in the format's history. He made his international debut in a one-day match against Australia in December 2002, followed by his Test debut in May 2003. Over a two-decade international career, Anderson played 188 Tests, 194 one-day internationals, and 19 T20 internationals for England. The Lancashire bowler has been named in former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's resignation honors list. He is the only sports person to be recognized. Alejandro Dominguez, the president of South American football's ruling body, CONMEBOL, has proposed expanding the men's 2030 World Cup to 64 teams. Al Jazeera reports that the proposal was introduced last month by a delegate from Uruguay during an online meeting of FIFA's ruling council. 2030 will mark 100 years since the first World Cup in 1930. The Games are already set to be the most sprawling edition, with 6 host nations spread across 3 continents. Uruguay was the original World Cup host in 1930 and is scheduled to stage 1 game. Paraguay, Argentina, Spain, Portugal, and Morocco are also co-hosts. There are 32 teams in the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. That number will be expanded to 48 at the 2026 World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And that's all for this edition of Ignite News on 6 at 6. For more stories, visit ignitenews.com or follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. I'm Rihanna Nikram. See you tomorrow for more Ignite News.